Alright lads and lasses, I'm Xcentric Racer, and we're back with Bowser Community on Forza Motorsport 7. This time, we've got B-Class Preludes. All of them had to stick with a standard engine, and had to be front wheel drive. First race, we went to Long Beach. I definitely had a power advantage. In my Prelude, I had 407 horsepower. I'm going around the outside of the Fujifilm. I get a little bit boxed in by the pink Prelude. Just move out the way, and I could just blitz past it down the straights. Yeah, a lot of people went for the 2000 Prelude. I think in the entire session that we did, there was about 8 of us, only 2 chose the 90s Prelude. Pink Prelude trying to fight back up the inside of the hairpin, can't quite do it, and this is where the advantage of my power comes into play. Yeah, lap 1 was chaotic, and you can see how close we were at the end of it. I missed my breaking point a little bit, and I don't want to hit the back of the leader, so I decided to scrape the wall. I then do a big dive up the inside. The red and blue Prelude gets a bit of oversteer. Looks like you put on the handbrake, because I saw the back wheels lock. And just wearing the tyre bundle. Assisted or not, I don't know. It looks like desync on the replay. But the grey Prelude decided to wait up. Some of us weren't really too used to the Preludes. The pink one gets a little bit too much speed and pushes the Fujifilm into the wall. Did wait up, but the Fujifilm had to pit. That allowed the orange and black Prelude and the grey Prelude to catch up. The grey Prelude doing a very nice overtake up the inside, down the straight, and into the first braking zone. Can keep up the inside of the pink Prelude. Gets a good run, but the pink Prelude is still there. Still has to give space, but the grey Prelude was just far enough ahead that I could just keep it on the apex. The pink one can't do a cutback, and the grey one would secure the space. The pink one does miss his braking point a bit, taps the back of the grey one, but thankfully the grey one kept out the wall and no real time was lost. The battle for the lead, and it was me versus the Spoon Sports Prelude. Us two absolutely ran away from the rest of the field. We were just gone. This meant though that us two would have a race long battle. Race 1 was huge amounts of fun. Spoon Prelude going around trying to go around the outside, gives him the inside line. I'm then having to go wide, get a lot of wheel spin out of the final corner. However, I've got the power advantage. I can keep my car up the inside, and with my power advantage I am able to defend into turn 1. The Spoon Prelude tries to do a cutback, gets a very good run actually, but I've got just enough power and I get a good enough run that I can defend in this corner. You can see he's going around the outside again. Even though my Prelude had 407 horsepower, I got some handling parts in it. The orange and black Prelude decided to stay out the way. It was a lap down, so that's highly appreciated. Spoon's Prelude is doing a cutback. It means it's going to be on the outside for this bit, but it's going to be on the inside for the hairpin. It's so tricky to make a pass stick there, especially if you're going up against a car with a power advantage. You've got to really have a good run, well, an unoccupied run. Further back, this was the battle for third, and the grey Prelude was recovering quite well actually. The red and blue, when the tyre bundle was in third, I think this is third anyway, but the grey Prelude was recovering very well. he was marching up the field, would get up the inside of the red and blue, and whilst I had the power advantage of the Spoons Prelude, he had the power advantage of the red and blue one. So, could just blitz past it down the straight. The red and blue was a bit too far back. Try and look up the inside. He's looking every which way. The grey one though, can just defend. Doesn't really need to run a very tight line, and could just use the power advantage to stay ahead of the red and blue, and would keep the third position. Back to the front, and we were still at it. We were still battling very hard. I parked it on the apex. I actually get a decent run, and again, the Spoon Prelude is going to go around the outside. You know what that means. Has the inside for this corner. Takes a very tight line. Gets a little bit of oversteer. I think lightly tapped the wall. But because of that, it had a compromised run. So I could just happily keep my car around the outside and just blitz past. However, in the turn 1, you can see how good the brakes of that Prelude is immediately on the back of me. He's trying to go around the outside. I am aware of this. I'm having a park on the apex. A little bit of scrapes. No real time was lost though. No one went into the wall. And I can just use my power and keep the lead. Park on the apex so he can't do a cutback. And guess what he's going to try and do? Go around the outside. Around the double left-hander. Like I said, this was incredible. Has a very compromised run though. Runs a very tight line. Does clip the wall. That just allows me to gain a lot of time to him. However, you saw how much time he made last time around the first corner, and yeah, he's done that again. We were good, what, 1.8 seconds, I think, between ourselves, and within 2 corners he brought that to about half a second. That's how good that Spoon Prelude was round the corners. And it wasn't terrible down the straights either. I missed my braking point massively. Do keep it out of the wall. And no, I am not repeating the same lap over and over again. He is going around the outside and has the inside line. Does get the pass this time. I do give him a little bit of a tap, but he didn't lose any time. So that means he can defend into turn 1. I go on the brakes a bit earlier. I get a very good run, actually. I can just cut back on the inside. That means I've got the inside for this corner, and I'm at the part where my Prelude is faster. I'm compromising it through the corners, so it does not, so it gets a big disadvantage coming onto the straights. And again, he's still defending his position on the outside. Now, I'm not going to be able to do what the Spoon Prelude could. I do not have the handling, so I drop back and just focus on my own line. We both get on the power a bit too early and just lightly tap the wall. And at this point, I thought I wouldn't be able to get the lead. Unfortunately, both him and the back marker did the merry dance of go the exact same way to keep out each other's way. And the Spoon Prelude would just get a sim steer twitch and would just cost him a lot of time. That would just allow me to inherit the lead. And you can see how much of a gap that cost, how much time he's lost because of that little dance. And this was the battle pretty much for the entire race. For the remainder of the race, sorry. I was having to defend very hard to try and keep the Spoon Prelude behind because of just his cornering ability. It was so superior to my car, and his wasn't terribly slow down the straights, so I couldn't just relax on the straights. I still had to keep in the back of my head about the Spoon Prelude. Ignore the engine. I don't know why I was doing that. Oh yeah, that's why. I missed my braking point again. That means I'm on a very compromised line. He dives up the inside. We just get caught together. We just get connected. I probably should have given him the position back. I will admit. However, for race 1, I would take the win. Deserved or not, I'm not too sure. Carver would take second, with Yeet taking third in the Grey Prelude. Race 2, we head to Laguna Seca. The Red and Blue Prelude gets a very good start. I'm trying to go up the inside, put a wheel on the sand. I do tap the Spoon Prelude. I do let off to give it the position back. And unfortunately, disaster would strike for me. Going around the outside of the Fujifilm Prelude, he would understeer, I would run out of road, and we both get connected together. That was, I'll hold my hands up, that was probably my fault. In fact, that was my fault. However, at the front, the Spoon Prelude, better on the brakes, can just throw up the inside, gets a very nice and easy overtake, and at this point, that Prelude absolutely ran away. Just buggered off. I could hold it at Long Beach, round Mazda, well, round Laguna Seca. Nah, absolutely not. I couldn't hold a candle to how quick the Spoon Prelude was going. Unfortunately, for this race, the field was kind of spread out. The only battle going on at this stage was the Grey Prelude coming up against the Red and Blue Prelude. But you can see, it's still a bit of a gap. This was really the only battle in the early parts. The Orange and Black Prelude coming up against the Chrome and Red-Orange Prelude. Was going to dive up the inside, thought better about it, and get a huge amount of oversteer. That allowed me to catch up to the back of it because of that big mistake. And you can see, as we're coming through the sort of, it doesn't have to be a very long straight, and I've got such a big power advantage that I could just put my car up the inside and I can just get the pass done. Yeah, unfortunately, the 94 Preludes just were not fast enough. A little bit later on, the Grey Prelude did catch up to the back of the Red and Blue Prelude and was just looking which way trying to try and overtake. Now, we saw last race, the Grey Prelude has the straight line speed advantage. It was a little bit too far back to go up the inside. The Red and Blue runs a bit wide, has a compromised run onto the back straight. That allows the Grey Prelude to put his car up the inside, and with that superior straight line speed can get the pass done. The Red and Blue Prelude though was stuck on the outside, however gets a good run, tries to go up the inside, but the grey Prelude gets the corner good enough, can hold the position, gets a better run, and can just defend. The red and blue looked like it was going to go up the inside, thought better about it, either that or got a bit of oversteer. Couldn't really tell you. However, because of that, the grey Prelude could just keep it ahead. However, through the corners, it wasn't all said and done, because the red and blue would be right up behind it. Coming up to the corkscrew now, and the grey has got a bit of a gap, but ultimately it's far enough ahead that it doesn't have to worry too much about defending from the red and blue. And later on, they just pull a gap from each other. And yeah, it was a shame that this race just kind of split. I reckon it could have been good fun, but it's a shame. For a while, that was the closest battle. Later on in the race, and I would catch up to the back of the pink Prelude. But there's not really too much to say at the moment, because I'm too far back to think about overtaking. I do get a good run though, around turn 1. Do get a lot of wheel spin as well. But I can't really say much at this moment in time. However, as we're starting to come now underneath the mother's billboard corner, I have a massive dive up the inside. I do get it stopped. That does mean the pink Prelude is up the inside. However, I've got a good enough run on the straight that I can keep it behind. I do run wide, put my car on the grass. However, I don't lose too much time. I just boot it. And the pink Prelude, so I had a dive bomb, will then do a dive bomb at corkscrew. Does get the pasta stick. Is very compromised. I'm on a compromised line myself, and we'd do some touring car collisions. We were sort of, shoulders were out, let's say. And this was coming up now to the very last corner. It had a good run, did a good cutback, but I've got the straight line power, so I can just get the position back, and I would take 4th. And yeah, it was a very lonely race for the Spoon Prelude. Like I said before, absolutely buggered off and just didn't make any mistakes. So Carver would take the lead with the Spoon Prelude. Yeet would take 2nd with Childish, taking 3rd with the Red and Blue Prelude. Our final race would take us to Prague, and it was unfortunate that this race, not a lot of racing happened. Yeah, sure, lap 1, there's a lot of race happening. You can see Fujifilm goes up the middle. One car runs very wide and is out on the grass. Sorry, that's not the Fujifilm, that's the chrome and red, goes up the middle. Yeah, lap 1, you can see a lot of battling going on. This black Prelude was the orange 94 Prelude. The chrome and red runs wide, I think lightly taps the wall. That allows the black to catch up, go up the inside. However, it doesn't have good enough top speed. A little bit further on, or a little bit further up the field, and the pink Prelude, which was the only one in this race that was using the 94, was coming under heavy fire from that grey Prelude. That Grey Prelude was very fast this evening. It worked at every track and would get good results. The Pink Prelude runs a bit wide, trying to give the grey one space. Thankfully not too much time was lost. You can see the straight line speed though of the Grey Prelude was going around the outside. Thought better of it. Just yielded, because going too wide here is very dangerous, especially when we're in cars that B class. You do have plenty of options, but you have to compromise. But the Grey Prelude just thought better of it. However, coming down the start-finish straight, does have the superior top speed. Was looking up the inside, couldn't quite do it. The Pink Prelude defends quite heavily, runs across the curb. That allowed the Grey Prelude to get up the inside. There was a little bit of contact. The Pink Prelude was forced a little bit wide. But there was a lot of understeer happening for everyone's car, except for the Spoon one. So it was really more of a racing incident. This was further back. The Fujifilm, after running wide on lap 1, turn 1, was making a little bit of a recovery and was fighting with the red and chrome Prelude. Coming through the tunnel, the red and chrome defends, runs a little bit wide, leaves the door open for the Fujifilm one to try and get an overtake. Can't quite do it. However, down the straight, it was much faster compared to the red and chrome, but the red and chrome had them superior handling. You can see they were just scraping along the back. Was going to go the inside of the chicanes. The Fujifilm bobbles them, gets a little bit of an oversteer. However, we're in a front wheel drive car, you can just boot it and it'll straighten itself out. So the red and chrome gets a little bit of a compromised run because of the better straight line speed car. And for a little while there was just no battling. This was probably the closest battle at this current in time, and you can see it was still a big gap between the red and blue and the grey. But through the corner bit, red and blue gains a good amount of time. The grey obviously has the better straight line speed, but it's a shame that this, I would have thought it would have worked better. Unfortunately, compared to last week, it just didn't. As we're now coming down into the town chicanes, you can see bobbling the curb. However, the red and blue would carry just that bit too much speed, hit the tyre wall, and crash in the wall, completely wrecking the car. The pink one would do the same, bounce off the tyre wall, but would do a 360, and it didn't completely destroy the car. This was up to the final lap. Obviously we have a cool down lap as well for replay reasons. The black car runs wide. That allows the Fujifilm Prelude to get up the inside. Obviously the back Prelude has the superior handling. Could try to look up the inside, just couldn't quite do it, was just too far back, and the Fujifilm was just too much on the inside. The black Prelude just misses breaking points a little bit, sticks on the tram tracks. Through the next corner though, you can see it's gaining time. However, it didn't gain enough time. The Fujifilm was just uncompromised, didn't really need to defend at all, and as we're coming now to the final part of the circuit, would just have a good enough straight line speed and would run away. And at the front, it would yet again be the Spoon Prelude. Yeah, this was just fast everywhere. I did forget to record the third podium, that's on me. However, Carver with the Spoon Sports Prelude would take the second victory. Yeet with the Grey Prelude would take second. That would allow Millennium On with the Pink Prelude to take third. Yeah, it was good fun though. There was still a good amount of racing. Shame it didn't work quite as well as last week with rear-wheel drive hatchbacks, but things happen. I do hope you enjoyed. Next week, I normally wouldn't announce this, but we're going to be doing a one-make race with these Capris, with the racing Capris. So if you do want to take part, there'll be a link in the description to join the Discord. And all you need to do, find the BAC sign-up section and leave your Xbox gamer tag. However, that is it from me. If you did enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell to get updates of when I make my next video. However, till next time, ciao for now.